trying to find your own style when it comes to home decor, we have professional help from interior designer Sarah St. Amand. And it all starts with kind of like, this is beyond Pinterest boards. This is actually, because it can be so overwhelming.
It can be completely overwhelming, and we understand that as designers. So our job is to help clients narrow it in. But if you're going to do the project yourself, I wanted to give you a few tips on how to bring your home decor together and how to determine what style that you're going to use.
Okay, and where, like, can you actually go to companies and ask for samples like you've done here?
Well, obviously paint chips, you can get samples, and it's always easy when you have tiles and different things like that, and carpet samples, yes. So you want to pull all those things together and try to get a grouping going.
Okay.
So when you're working with certain things, like what I've done on this board, for example, is I started with artwork. So it's always a good idea to start with something, because I find that a lot of times people go right on in and they don't know any direction, and they go to a furniture store and then they become completely overwhelmed. But you have to start with something. So it could be something you love, like a piece of art. It could be something like, in this case, we did like a carpet. So you might love a
so
carpet.
You found that carpet and thought, oh, I really, really like that. What do we work around?
And then pulling colors from it. So deciding where your dominant color is. Now, a lot of people want to do more neutrals for, say, sofas, sectionals, those sorts of things. But then you can always add in some extra color from what you're working with. So once you add in the color, that could be a toss pillow, it could be a chair. I always like to add little hits of color in things that I can easily change. So for example, obviously a sofa is a really big ticket item, so you're not going to change that too often. But you can always change your toss pillows, you can always change little details, and the art, for example.
And the paint on the wall,
and
too,
the paint,
right?
And that's another thing too, is so I always love doing like a neutral paint color. So for example, I might do a neutral on the wall, and then I'll do an accent color. So if you do an accent color on one wall, maybe it's a dining room and you want to highlight the buffet, or you want to do something like that where you're bringing attention to it, an accent color is a great way to add a trend color or just to add a hit of color.
Okay.
So these are some examples of shots that we've done, rooms we've done. And so we've kept everything fairly neutral. But the main thing is, on this one, for example, we have the green cabinetry. The client loved green, so we wanted to bring that in. So it's a little daring for many.
Because you have to make sure that you're going to love that in 10 years, 15 years.
Right, but you can always paint the cabinetry, whereas the tile's a little less forgiving to paint.
Same with this. I saw this and I immediately thought, oh, is that all peach? But that's just a little bit,
it's
right?
It's just a wood,
I think the next
like
shot.
Wood finish, So we combined a bit of wood here and a bit of painted finish, and then the island was what we drew our inspiration from with the marble that's on the island. So that's where we start oftentimes, is when we are trying to draw a color palette or a style. We often will start with a stone, or we'll start with a tile, or we'll start with a carpet or art, something that gives us direction.
And do you find often that if people are under a deadline, it's like, oh, I've got to pick something, that you just automatically go and, okay, the first thing I see, I think I like that, I'm just going to go. You should be thinking about this even if you're not about to decorate, right? So if you see something that really, really calls to you or speaks to you, you should probably take note of that somewhere.
And it's not something that happens overnight. So I always remind people, don't rush. So if you're building a house or you're renovating, if you're calling a designer, call us 6 months out before, even 4 months or 6 months, a year, because it takes time to build the process. Even if you're doing something like a living room, don't rush your decisions, because it's too costly to make mistakes, and it's something you're not going to easily change. Once it's there, you're probably not going to change your couch, you're not going to change your dining room table once you've committed to something.
Right, and people, I know, assume that, oh, hiring a designer, that's going to be really expensive. It can save money in the long run.
Yeah, and I mean, my firm, we offer different options for people at different price points. So sometimes people might look to us and think, oh, we only do luxury design, but we have something like a membership, so people can join and then they can ask me questions. So it's an inexpensive offering for people to be able to get help, because I believe that everybody deserves to have help with a designer, but sometimes they're not doing their entire house, and maybe they just need a few hours of help, and that's what we do at my firm. So bigger jobs, smaller jobs, and that kind of thing to help people.
And where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Brantford.
Okay.
Most of our clients are in the GTA area, so we kind of go anywhere and everywhere. And we do e-design, especially since the pandemic. That
Yes.
became a big thing too. So we do pretty much everything. So pretty flexible at my firm.
Okay, we'll get, you've given me all kinds of inspiration
Yes.
here. Okay, we're going to get all of your socials.
Eye candy, right?
Yes, all of our socials up on chch.com/morninglive.